I have to say, folks, not much surprises me these days. There's not much that can happen that is going to genuinely make me scratch my head compared to what has happened over the past 4 to 5 years. But I have to say that the events of the past, I don't know, 48 to 72 hours or so, ever since Joe Biden admitted that an illegal immigrant killed that girl in Georgia, um, it's been quite the adventure, and I have to wonder: is the Biden campaign okay? Are they going to make it? Because this is been the most unmitigated win for Donald Trump that I have seen in a very long time. And I'm not someone who thinks that Donald Trump has been doing really anything right in his 2024 campaign. I think he's been pretty absent from the national stage. I honestly don't hear much about him. I can't tell you the last time I heard his voice. I can tell you that I hear Joe Biden's voice and I hear things Joe Biden is doing all the time. And so it's a sharp contrast from the 2020 election. And who knows, perhaps that's part of the strategy. I don't think that Trump is hiding in his basement like Biden does, and also I know that the media is actively trying not to cover Trump, compared to how they used to fawn all over him because he was great for ratings. In Trump's own words, he was a ratings machine. But there is no media blackout that could possibly stop the bleeding for the Biden campaign after these past few days. So it starts out, he gets heckled by Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's wearing like this MAGA clown costume, which on the one hand was cringe, because it was like a boomer Trump campaign uniform, and I would never wear something like that, and I see it and I wince. But then at the same time I realized, oh, she's dressing up as a clown to the State of the Union. That is actually something that I can get behind, because the State of the Union is a clown show. It is beyond nerd prom, or as some have termed it, the Oscars for ugly people. It's the most disgusting Travishamocracy that has been conceived in a very long time. It's a stupid theater where politicians like to take themselves very seriously and spout a bunch of platitudes. And so I respect someone beclowning the whole event. But anyway, beyond the getup, though, Marjorie Taylor Greene was heckling Joe Biden over the murder of this girl in Georgia by an illegal immigrant. And I think she was shouting, "Say her name," or something. And so he did. Now, he did say her name wrong, but this is Joe Biden we're talking about. I think that he probably was aware of the story. I think that this is actually an incident of Joe Biden not saying things right, because he did do that a lot. He did get the name close enough. Lincoln Riley's close enough. Honestly, I've only read the name. I don't watch like Fox News or something, so I don't hear things. I only read things most of the time when it comes to news. And so, I don't know, is it Lakin? I know it's an A. It's the word lake with an N on it. So, do you say that Lakin? Lockin? It's not Lachlan. But anyway, Joe Biden said it. He said, yeah, this Lincoln Riley, he said, was murdered by an illegal immigrant. And, this led to libs around the world clutching at their pearls. Oh my God, how could he say illegal immigrant? This is so insensitive. He needs to apologize to that murderer immediately. That was not an illegal murder. That was an undocumented murder, okay? He should have done it through Planned Parenthood. He should have documented the murder so that we wouldn't have had this break in procedure. But we definitely don't want to say that murder is illegal, because after all, that would be an indictment of the abortion industry, and we Democrats are supposed to love abortions, no matter how late term, even if it's so late term that it's like, 24 years after birth. And so this brave abortionist of color, who went down to Georgia, looking for a soul to steal, was greatly offended. His honor was besmirched by the President of the United States himself, calling him a slur. And then Biden doubled down on this. The next day, I believe, he was on the tarmac or whatever, getting in a plane, and the press was yelling at him, saying, "Mr. President, do you regret using the offensive term illegal to describe the undocumented immigrant who committed a crime in Georgia?" And Biden said, "Well, I called him illegal, and technically he wasn't supposed to be here, so it's kind of an appropriate term. Makes sense, you would think." Well, then he had to do his handlers had to get a leash on him, and they did a full sit-down interview with MSNBC, a serious interview with lights and everything and makeup, an exclusive MSNBC exclusive, where Biden went through and had to just so he could apologize for calling the illegal immigrant who murdered a young American girl. Just so he could apologize for calling him an illegal immigrant. And then he said illegal immigrants built this country, and I shouldn't speak ill of them by using that term. It's undocumented. These are undocumented Americans. This guy, he was just living out the American dream. This guy, he's the kind of people who built this country. I mean, you can't make this shit up. It's beyond parody. And what does Trump have to counter it? I have to tell you, folks, this is real high IQ, high-level political strategy. This is 4D chess from the Trump campaign. He did a photo op with the murder victims' parents, where he hugged them and comforted them in their time of need. Brilliant. I mean, who would have thought of this? I mean, all the great minds behind the Biden campaign, never once would they have considered that brilliant political strategy. It takes a bold go-getter like Donald Trump to come up with the idea that, hey, when there's a high-profile murder case, maybe instead of apologizing to the murderer for hurting his feelings, I should perhaps try and comfort the grieving family and show that I'm a sensitive person who feels their pain. Empathy, what a concept. But instead, no, let's apologize to the murderers and say, screw the victim. Or in the words of the governor himself, screw your freedom. I mean, in a just world, that would be the election right there. That would be it. This would be something you couldn't come back from. This would be a gaffe beyond any possible redemption. You apologize to the murder victim for calling him an illegal immigrant. And then just, scorning the family while your opponent is comforting them. How is this not it? How is Trump not winning 99% to 1? And I'm not like this big Trump guy who thinks that Trump is this unstoppable juggernaut. I'm not. I think that his chances this fall, probably not great, because that's just how bad of a position we're in as a country. Because apparently this is what Democrat voters want. And remember, we're in a general election campaign now. Biden is not worried about a primary challenge from his left. He's in full triangulation mode. And so this is where he thinks the center of the country is that he needs to appeal to. This is how, he thinks this is the sort of thing I need to say in a general election to win votes away from Trump. I need to say the term, we shouldn't be using the term illegal immigrant. That's our big concern at a time when illegal immigration is pretty much at record highs. It's a big problem. There's another news story every couple of days. As much as the FBI wants to tell us that we need to be worried about white rage and right-wing terrorism, every couple of days, inevitably, even though the media doesn't like to put it in these terms, we hear about some brutal crime committed by one of these recent illegal immigrants, um, some of which, or many of which, were known to authorities but don't get deported because it's not enough to be here illegally to get deported. Even after you've committed multiple crimes, in the case of some of these guys, they'll commit a crime in one state, get arrested, and then get released because, well, we can't keep illegal immigrants in our jails, and then they just move to another state and end up like beheading someone, and then it's just totally normal. But no, the real problem is if you call them an illegal immigrant, because that might make them sound like criminals. We can't have that. We can't call the murderer a criminal. No, that would be terrible. And I get that Elon Musk is no longer representative of like the moderate left like he used to be. He used to be very much in tune with them. It seems like his evolution has been isolated, but there are other people like Elon Musk who were traditionally, left liberals, who look at some of this stuff and just go like, wait, this is a bridge too far for me. And Elon has really gone, he's really been, I guess you could, I don't think the term is correct to say radicalized on the whole illegal immigration stuff, because I think that's probably how he always felt, and he just thought that, this is something how other Democrats felt as well. Because traditionally, there were a lot of Democrats who felt this way. It was, that famous clip of Harry Reid talking about illegal immigrants in the 1990s. Chuck Schumer. Going up, I can't tell you when Democrats, they stopped having anyone in their party who was like, at all worried about the border. But I guarantee you there are a lot of Democrat voters who haven't gotten that memo yet, that when we're not allowed to have any concern about the border at all. It has to be 100% open 100% of the time, and you can't even question it, or else you're a vile racist and you need to apologize to the illegal immigrants if you call them such, or even for including them in crime statistics, because really we should only be worried about the crimes committed by straight white males, particularly those who have a full head of hair and don't have the need for, to wear glasses. So anyway, with that said, while this position a few years ago should have made this like an 80-20 election, should have made this, 2024 should have made this election a slam dunk for whoever the Republican nominee was. If you have a Democrat who's this unhinged on immigration, we are no longer the country we used to be. After all, we have a lot of illegal immigrants who vote. And that's probably part of the reason why Joe Biden is so worried about offending them, because he knows he needs their votes. He needs them to get out and vote. Perhaps they're not many of them would vote for Donald Trump out of self-interest, but a lot of them might just stay home if they don't feel like Joe Biden has their backs. So anyway, with that said, I will see you folks back here in the next one.